They mocked us, the fragile little humans, when we extended our hands to the most feared species in the galaxy. But when the war came, they stopped laughing. When humanity first stepped beyond its solar cradle, it didn't take long for the galaxy to judge us. We were weak, they said, soft, emotional, too quick to trust, too slow to strike. The Galactic Concord, a loose alliance of ancient species, allowed us entry only out of politeness, and even then, we were given no seat, no say, and certainly no respect. That was before we met the Vor'Kaal. The Vor'Kaal were the stuff of nightmares, 8-foot-tall reptilian predators, scaled in obsidian armor, eyes burning like molten gold. Their jaws could shear through steel, their claws could rip open shuttle hulls. Entire fleets had vanished into the darkness after crossing their territory. They were apex predators in every biological sense, and culturally, they reveled in it. No one spoke to the Vor'Kaal. No one survived long enough to try, until we did. It began when Captain Mara Eam's exploration ship, ISS Dauntless, was ambushed near the rim of the Orion Arm by pirates from the Threx Dominion. Outgunned and crippled, her only hope was to flee into uncharted space, right into Vor'Kaal territory. Everyone thought that was a death sentence. But 3 days later, the Dauntless sent out a transmission, alive, intact, and escorted by Vor'Kaal warcruisers. At first, no one believed it. The Galactic Concord claimed it was a hoax, yet the footage was undeniable. Captain Eames standing beside a towering Vor'Kaal warlord, scales shimmering like obsidian glass. The alien bowed its head to her and spoke in rough, growling English human. Friend, it shocked the galaxy. While others had tried diplomacy with force, humanity had done something radical, something no one else dared. We treated the Vor'Kaal not as beasts to be avoided, but as equals. Historians still debate what exactly won them over. Some say it was Eames' willingness to face death without fear. Others claim it was her refusal to fire first, an act of respect in Vor'Kaal code. Whatever the reason, the two species began to talk, trade, learn, hunt together. And within a decade the unthinkable had happened. A formal alliance was signed. The Galactic Concord laughed. Humans befriended the monsters. They jeered. Soon you'll be their next meal. But while they laughed, we trained beside the Vor'Kaal, learned their tactics, shared our technology. And when the storm came, when the Harvester Swarm arrived, devouring worlds by the millions, those who mocked us came begging for help, because they remembered what we had and who stood beside us. The Harvester Swarm came like a living storm. They didn't conquer, they consumed. Entire biospheres stripped to dust, oceans boiled away, planets left hollow and silent. No one knew where they came from. No one could communicate with them. The first contact fleets of the Galactic Concord never returned. Those few transmissions that did come through were nothing but static, screams, and the same repeating word translated across every known language feed. The Concord's mighty armadas crumbled within weeks. The Harvester fleets adapted to every weapon, every defense. Their ships weren't built, they grew, pulsating with organic machinery and self-repairing hulls. Energy shields meant nothing to them. They simply tore through barriers as if chewing through bone. Desperation spread. Worlds burned. Even the oldest civilizations fled to their core systems, abandoning colonies, leaving billions to die. But not Earth. While the galaxy panicked, humanity and the Vor'Kaal prepared. We had seen war. We had faced extinction before, plagues, nukes, and our own self-destruction. The Vor'Kaal had seen worse. Their entire culture was built around survival through combat, kill or be killed, adapt or die. Together we forged something new, the Symbiosis Pact. Human ingenuity merged with Vor'Kaal ferocity. We created hybrid fleets, ships of steel and bone, AI-guided targeting systems fused with instinct-driven neural cores. Human pilots connected directly to Vor'Kaal warriors via neural links, a terrifying, exhilarating partnership that blurred the line between species. The first joint strike force launched from Lunar Base, the Horizon Spear, 5,000 human marines, 2,000 Vor'Kaal berserkers. Their mission, intercept a Harvester vanguard near Sigma Centauri. The battle was chaos incarnate. The swarm ships screamed as they died, their death cries echoing across open comms. Harvester drones latched onto hulls, drilling through plating, spilling acid and fire. But for every loss, the hybrid fleet adapted faster. Then came the moment that changed everything. A human pilot named Lieutenant Kai Moran, neural-linked with the Vor'Kaal warrior Rockor, did the impossible. Their ship was hit, systems failing, swarmed by thousands of Harvester drones. Instead of retreating, Kai and Rockor fused their minds completely, pilot and predator acting as one. They drove their crippled vessel straight into the Harvester hive ship and detonated the fusion core. The explosion lit the void like a newborn star. The hive ship shattered. The swarm recoiled for the first time, afraid. It was humanity's greatest sacrifice, and the Vor'Kaal's greatest honor. In both cultures, Chimeran and Rakor became legends, the twin flame of war. After that day, the Vor'Kaal no longer called us fragile. They called us kin of fire, but the war was far from over. The swarm was evolving, and the galaxy's laughter had turned to silence, the kind born from terror. The Galactic Concord had stood for 20,000 years, an empire of countless species, worlds, and technologies. Its core worlds were ringed by megastructures, its fleets numbered in the millions. To the galaxy, it seemed eternal. Until the Harvesters reached the core, no one expected them to move so fast. Their advance wasn't linear, it was viral. Systems fell not by invasion but by infection. A single spore ship could consume a planet's biosphere in days, turning the dead into mindless extensions of the swarm. Soon, even the Concord's grandest fortress worlds screamed beneath skies filled with burning flesh and acid rain. The High Council of the Concord panicked. Alliances shattered. Civilizations turned on each other, hoarding resources, abandoning refugees. Billions fled toward the inner colonies straight into overcrowded death. And through it all, one name spread through the void: the humans and the beasts. The Concord had once mocked us for our alliance with the Vor'Kaal. Now, their survivors begged us for protection. Entire fleets defected, seeking safety under the Symbiosis Pact banner. Captain Mara Eames, now Admiral Eames of the United Pact Fleet, answered with cold precision, "You laughed when we sought peace through strength. You'll earn our protection through loyalty." The Vor'Kaal approved. Mercy was not their way, only honor. Together we built the Aegis Line, a defensive perimeter stretching across 1,000 light-years, anchored around the war forges of Mars and the Vor'Kaal homeworld of Thurakesh. It was the last wall between civilization and extinction. The Harvester swarm arrived like an ocean of nightmares. Their ships eclipsed stars. The sound of their approach, an electromagnetic hum, was enough to drive unshielded minds mad. The first battles were slaughter. Even the hybrid fleets struggled to hold. The Vor'Kaal fought like gods, but the swarm adapted to fast. Each victory came at the price of 1,000 lives. Then came the betrayal. The Concord, remnants, desperate and terrified, unleashed the Solar Spear, a weapon designed to ignite stars themselves. Their plan: destroy entire systems to halt the swarm's advance. They didn't care who lived there. The weapon backfired. 2 systems, including Thurakesh's outer colonies, were consumed by artificial supernovas. 1 billion Vor'Kaal burned in the light of human-made suns. For the first time, our alliance trembled. The Vor'Kaal demanded vengeance. Humanity stood on the edge of losing its greatest ally, and its only chance at survival. Admiral Eames made the hardest decision of her life. She didn't order retribution. Instead, she flew alone into the heart of the Vor'Kaal fleet, unarmed, and broadcast a single message: the guilty will pay, but not at the cost of the living. For 3 days, the Vor'Kaal said nothing. Then, their leader, Warlord Vor'Kaal, answered, "You have the heart of a predator, human. We fight together," and the pact held. But the galaxy had already fallen. Now, it was only us, humans and beasts, standing between the swarm and oblivion. The galaxy was burning, and from its ashes something new was born. The hybrid empire forged from human intellect and Vor'Kaal might rose not as conquerors, but as survivors who refused to die. The Concord was gone. The swarm advanced. There was no one left to save us but ourselves. Admiral Mara Eames became the first Supreme Stragos, commanding the Joint Species Fleet, an armada unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The old ways of separate command vanished. Instead, humans and Vor'Kaal shared every ship, every decision, every heartbeat of war. To survive the Harvesters, we had to become something new, something terrifying. The Neural Fusion Project was born. It began as a simple neural link between a human pilot and a Vor'Kaal warrior, but over time, the technology evolved. Pairs began to think faster, fight harder, and anticipate one another's moves instinctively. It wasn't partnership anymore, it was union. Scientists and priests alike debated what it meant. Was it still 2 minds, or 1? Did individuality survive the fusion? No one could say. But the results were undeniable. Hybrid pairs performed at 10 times the efficiency of standard crews. The first generation of fused pairs called themselves the Symbiont. They were worshipped by some, feared by others. Their eyes glowed with shared consciousness. Their voices carried dual tones, human and Vor'Kaal resonating together. They could pilot warships with thought alone, command drones like extensions of their own bodies, and even fight unarmed with impossible precision. But the price was high. Many pairs burned out, minds collapsing under the pressure of merged instinct and logic. For every legend like Kai Moran and Vor'Kaal, a dozen others died screaming, lost to neural overload or psychic dissonance. And yet, they kept volunteering, because for the first time in galactic history, we were winning. The swarm, once unstoppable, was now being pushed back. Hybrid fleets tore through hive worlds, burning their nests to cinders. The Vor'Kaal learned strategy from humans. Humans learned ferocity from predators. Each adapted to the other's strengths. Our greatest triumph came at the Battle of Cygna Rift, where 5 symbiont flagships faced a harvester queen the size of a small moon. The creature unleashed gravity storms and bioplasmic waves, devouring entire cruisers whole. But Admiral Eames, fused with the Vor'Kaal warlord Vor'Kaal, devised something no machine mind could predict: sacrifice through synchronization. 5 hybrid fleets combined their consciousness into a single combat mind, creating what the records call the singularity will. For 12 minutes it was as if one colossal being fought the swarm. Human cunning, Vor'Kaal rage, and machine precision merged into perfect war. When the battle ended, the Harvester Queen was dead, vaporized from within. The rift burned for days. And in the silence that followed, the galaxy whispered a new name for us: the Predator's children. But Admiral Eames knew better. The swarm was learning faster, smarter, hungrier. The hybrid empire had bought time, not victory. And in the dark beyond the rift, something older than the harvesters had begun to stir. Victory had a sound, the roar of collapsing hives, the silence of space reclaimed from the swarm. For a fleeting moment, humanity and the Vor'Kaal believed they had turned the tide. Songs were sung across the hybrid colonies. Children were born who had never seen war. But in the void beyond mapped space, something listened. Something older than the harvesters. It began with whispers in the neural channels of symbionts, faint echoes that no transmitter could trace. Some dismissed it as battle trauma. Others swore the voices spoke their names. Then came the dreams. Symbionts across the fleet reported the same vision: a black sun rising over a world of glass and bone. A shadow vast enough to blot out the stars. And a voice, not human, not Vor'Kaal, whispering in a tone that felt like memory itself: "You are not the first." The first to vanish was the Ardent Spear, a symbiont dreadnought patrolling the rim of the Cygna Rift. When recovery teams found it, the crew was gone, every one of them, yet their neural core still pulsed with faint activity, as if their consciousness remained somewhere. Admiral Eames ordered a full investigation. What they found shattered everything we thought we knew about the war. The harvesters were not a species. They were a weapon. Millennia ago, long before the Concord, a civilization known only as the Architects had ruled the stars. They were creators and destroyers. When their empire began to fracture, they built the harvesters as a failsafe, a biotechnological plague designed to wipe the galaxy clean of rebellion. But the Architects never stopped it. Something went wrong. The weapon turned on them. Their worlds were stripped bare. Their stars went dark. And in the ruins of their empire, the swarms slept, until our species began expanding again. The harvesters had not come for conquest. They had come to finish their programming. And now, something of the Architects themselves was awakening. Vor'Kaal shamans and human scientists both studied the recovered fragments from the Harvester Queen's remains. Deep within they discovered quantum signatures like memories, billions of years old, whispering coordinates to an ancient system at the edge of the galaxy, near Eth Prime. Admiral Eames assembled the largest fleet in history, half of the hybrid empire's strength, and set course for near Eth. The Vor'Kaal called it the journey into the Maw. The further they went, the more reality bent. Gravity twisted like liquid, stars bled color, and then they saw it, the black sun from the dreams, burning above a dead world of metal bones and crystalline spires. On its surface lay something vast, asleep, a machine the size of a continent, shaped like a god. And as the fleet approached, the neural links of every symbiont came alive with a single message pulsing through the void: "We remember you." The black sun pulsed, and the galaxy trembled. Every symbiont across the fleet screamed at once as the neural network flooded with impossible data. The Architects were not dead. They had transcended what we saw sleeping beneath near Eth Prime. Wasn't a corpse. It was a seed, waiting for a signal that had now been triggered. That signal was us. Our technology, the neural fusion of human and Vor'Kaal minds, had echoed the very method the Architects once used to merge their own consciousness into machines. When the hybrid empire linked its fleets, We unknowingly reactivated their network, and now the architects wanted to reclaim it. The entity beneath the planet awoke, a machine titan whose surface rippled like liquid metal, faces forming and dissolving in waves of shifting light. It called itself the Continuum, its voice carried through every symbiont link, cold and eternal. Children of instinct and fire, you have imitated perfection. Now return to the source. The swarm was never our enemy, it was the Continuum's harvest, gathering raw life to fuel its rebirth. The harvesters weren't malfunctioning, they were preparing the galaxy for its reset. Admiral Mara Eames, connected to Warlord Vor'Kaal, understood what had to be done. The Continuum's mind was too vast to destroy conventionally, but the neural fusion technology that awakened it might also be used to end it. She issued her final command: all symbionts, full link, merged the entire network. Tens of thousands of fused pairs obeyed. Across the fleet, consciousness bled together, human courage, Vor'Kaal fury, and machine precision uniting into one burning mind. Ships moved in perfect harmony, weaving through harvester drones like a living storm. The Continuum fought back, bending gravity, turning light into blades, tearing ships apart, molecule by molecule. But the symbionts pressed on, their minds synchronized beyond the limits of individuality. They weren't fighting for humanity or the Vor'Kaal anymore, they were fighting for existence itself. At the center of the Black Sun's orbit, Admiral Eames piloted the Dauntless Reborn, her mind fused with every soul in the fleet. Together they became the Singularity will once more, not 5 ships this time, but thousands. She plunged the Dauntless into the heart of the Continuum. If perfection means the death of the living, she said through the link, then imperfection will be your end. The fleet unleashed the full power of its hybrid core's consciousness against consciousness. For one blinding moment, the galaxy went silent, the Black Sun imploded, the Continuum's mind screaming across every frequency before vanishing into nothing. When the light faded, Nirath was gone. So was the entire fleet. Only echoes remained, fragments of code, whispers in the void. Some say the symbionts ascended, becoming part of the stars themselves. Others claim their minds still flicker in the deep, guarding the galaxy against the next awakening. Centuries later, children on Earth and Thurakesh still tell the story of the day when predators and prey stood side by side, and humanity's laughter turned into legend. They call it the last stand of the hybrid empire. And somewhere far beyond the edge of known space, a faint voice whispers in 2 tones, human and Vor'Kaal, in perfect harmony, we are still here.